Yo, what up? It's Deontay Harris with the New Orleans Saints. Y'all Saints Happy Hour podcast? Yeah. No bueno, not good. Y'all Saints takes. It's just awful. And I think it's because the drinks that y'all be drinking be having y'all a little woozy and y'all be forgetting like what team y'all talking about or something. I don't know what it is, but we gotta figure something out because it's bad. Let's regroup, reassess, and just be better, All love.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. It is game day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, Saints Happy Hour. Find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. We're the best. Andrew, it's game day today. The Saints and the Cardinals are going to subject America to a horribly played football game. The injury report.
Look, I mean, when you consider what's been going on Thursday Night Football with Russell Wilson and then the
Carson Wentz, can't be any worse.
It can't. I mean, it can only get better.
Can't be. Before we get to a preview of today's game, I want to give a special shout out to all the people in Saints Nation who celebrate Diddly Poo Day. 26 years ago today, Jim Mora watched the Saints play horrible and fall to 2-6 in Carolina, and that man was fed up and gave us this.
Well, what happened was that game we got our ass kicked. In the second half, we just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points. We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to.
Man, that's not a premonition for tonight, is it?
I hope not. But I will say this. If my team is going to suck, that's how I want my coach to be after the game.
Yeah.
Like I want my coach.
I mean, that's the gift that keeps on giving. We're still using that soundbite. Yeah. How many years ago was that?
26.
26 years ago. So
if my team's gonna suck, like that's what I want my coach to be. I want my coach to feel that in his bones. Like I want him as mad as me. Okay.
I don't
want
the
getting that monotone. We need to play better. We need to coach better. We need to be more focused.
It starts with me. Yeah.
I want full-on rage. We love you, Jim Mora.
Solve your problems with aggression.
Listen, the injury reports for these teams tonight, Arizona and the Saints, 27 combined dudes on these injury reports. We don't care about Arizona. We'll get to them in a minute. But, where are you with all the Saints injuries? How do you process which ones you think matter, which ones you think they can overcome, because it's so many. Because I think there's a ton of critical ones. It's not just Lattimore, it's a bunch.
It's a bunch. You really had the Tecmo Bowl music on loop for a second there. I think that was appropriate considering the number of guys that are out. But I think when you look at, defensively, we'll start there with Lattimore. I mean, you mentioned Lattimore, and you said it's not just him. I don't want to dismiss that because that's a huge deal. I think not having Lattimore and DeAndre Hopkins coming back, those two things in tandem, bode really badly for the Saints. And, I saw an article where Kyler Murray kind of went out and said, DeAndre Hopkins is not the cure-all answer. He's not this thing that's just going to come in and magically cure our offense. But today in this game, he might actually cure that offense with Lattimore not covering him. So yeah, it's really concerning. Just not having Lattimore. And then when you look at the other side of the ball, you're missing 5 out of 5 starters. And that doesn't include Jameis. So if you want to count Jameis, because I think Andy Dalton's starting, it's 6. It's more than half of your starters. You're missing Landry. You're missing Michael Thomas. You're missing Troutman. You're missing
Pete.
And who am I forgetting? Maybe Jameis was the 5th. So there's 5. And, I just think offensively, somehow the Saints still have the guys. I'm worried about left guard. Throckmorton was limited all week. and he's coming back from his hip injury, and he's officially listed as questionable. So if he can go, it would likely be Throckmorton that starts at left guard. If he can't, then you're going to the UDFA. Your adopted
UDFA son, Lewis Kidd. I can get back in the UDFA Sun competition. Saints could run for 250 yards, and I can give him full credit.
No, you're done.
We can be back in.
That's over. But I think it's offensively going to be difficult. It's going to be tough sledding. And, but I think Andy Dalton's doing a pretty good job. So he just has to continue to be efficient with the football. Like, he's dealing with the back thing. He was limited at practice this week. He doesn't have an official injury designation, and he was full this last practice. But yeah, it's just tough. I mean, and Andy Dalton's not a spring chicken, this is what I hate about Thursday night games is you just older players, like, they just don't have the time to recover. But I don't see how. Now, I will say this, Arizona's missing a lot of guys too.
That's what I was going to get to. Like,
they're missing some key guys, but I mean, just talking strictly about the Saints first, because that's the question you asked. I don't see how you can't look at this report and ask yourself, like, how the heck are they going to find a way to win this game?
Yeah. I worry about the Pete injury, Andrew, because, listen, I know fans, we get on Pete, and he's a meme. He's had memes and his mistakes. And look, but the thing about Pete, and you've always said this, is he is a dominant run player. And the thing that the Saints have done the last 3 weeks, they have run the ball better than anybody, I think, in the NFL. I would say they're number 2 in yards per carry at 5.4. But now you take Pete out, and the thing that's sort of given their offense life these last 3 weeks, how much are they going to miss Pete? And this is really, I'm in bizarro world. Like, I'm talking about Pete as a critical piece, but I feel like he is.
No, he is. He is. And when you look at this offense being successful the last couple weeks without Andy Dalton at quarterback, without Michael Thomas, without Jarvis Landry, without Chris Olave. I mean, they've been missing all those guys, right? And it'll be great to have Olave back. But I think the reason why they've been effective is what they've been able to do in the trenches. And so, not having Pete is a really big deal, because he's maybe, your pulling guard is maybe the most critical component to that whole thing working. And that's a big part of what the Saints do, is they run like zone blocking schemes and all that. So I think the pulling guard, and it's been Ruiz and it's been Pete. Those are kind of the two guys that have really been devastating at the point of attack. They've created kind of that initial push in those lanes for Kamara, for Taysom Hill. So yeah, it's not good. Not good, Bob.
Not great. Here's the thing, though. The Saints are banged up. So is Arizona. Like, they're going to be missing their center. They're going to be missing their starting guard. So we'll start there. Does Nuke Hopkins coming back and Kyler Murray being a mobile quarterback, does it mitigate their offensive line that was bad when it was healthy, by the way, being a lot worse? Can they mitigate? Does the scrambling and Nuke Hopkins, does it kind of mitigate that? Because I don't have any confidence that, like, the Saints, I know people say, the writers and Statner, the Saints are like, oh, they're close on defensive line. But, like, is it just going to be one of those nights where Andrew tomorrow you can be like, the defensive line, Marcus Davenport and Cam, they were this close to getting a bunch of sacks, but they didn't. Like, so. Yeah. How's this going to play out with the banged up offensive line? I can't
remember if we talked about this on a podcast. I can't remember, or if it was just you and me on a call. I think this is put up or shut up time for the Saints interior defensive line. They've kind of been bad all season, and you can tolerate the lack of pocket push, the lack of sacks from your defensive tackles when you're stuffing the run, but that's kind of come and gone. They have not been great at stuffing the run, and so. That's right. Onyemata has been invisible. Shai Tuttle has had moments. It's good to have Malcolm Roach back, but, like, he hasn't done much yet. Tano Passanio, who rotates in on the interior.
Street.
Yeah, Kentavious Street. Like, just haven't gotten anything out of those guys. And now you look at a center and a guard that start being out for Arizona. If they're not going to do it on Thursday night tonight,
they're not going to do it.
It's never happening. Like, this is it. Like, David Onyemata, I'm calling you out. Like, this is it. Like, you're not going to get an easier matchup than this. So, like, if you can't make it happen in this game, I'm starting to think all hope is lost.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was listening to an Arizona Cardinals podcast and I was reading a blog. They are in the same boat in that they can't get explosive plays. And they look at the Saints defense and they're like, the Saints defense gives up explosive plays by the truckload. If it doesn't happen Thursday, it's never going to happen for us. The one thing I'll say also about Arizona, their pass defense is atrocious. They're last by advanced metrics if you want to do that. And the thing is, they're banged up at corner, Andrew, but they started in a place going into this year where I think arguably people were like, Arizona has the worst corners in football. That was their starting point. And now they're banged up. So this game, I think it really comes down to...
Dude, it's hilarious because it's like, well, this works both ways, right? It's like the perfect cure for a secondary that awful is having to cover Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway, right?
That's right.
And the perfect cure for Andy Dalton, who has not put up a ton of yards passing, is to face the secondary and get Chris Olave back. Although he doesn't have Michael Thomas, he doesn't have Jarvis Landry. So, like, I mean, it's just, and it's like, Onyemata and the Saints defensive interior sucks, and this is like the perfect matchup for them to maybe step it up. So, yeah, it works both ways. This is imminently winnable. Like, here's the thing. I don't have a whole lot of confidence in how the Saints find a way to win this game, given the challenges that they're up against, except for the fact that their opponent has played just as poorly as them. And I think you look at Arizona, and I would assume that their fans are thinking the same thing. They look at their team, and they're like, I don't know how the heck we're going to pull off a win with the amount of injuries we have and the brand of football we've been playing. I would argue Arizona is actually playing worse than the Saints.
It's close. Yeah. It's close. It's really close. I mean, one of their wins is basically a miracle win. They were down 20-0 at halftime against the Raiders, and the Raiders just basically vomited all over themselves and somehow lost that game.
Kind of like the Atlanta game in week 1.
No, worse, because at least Atlanta, like, they sort of self-destructed, obviously, but the Raiders just kept turning over the ball in hilarious fashion. Atlanta just kind of stalled out and couldn't get stuff done, and they had the little, the fumble on 3rd and 1, and it was weird. I mean, that game wasn't, the Arizona win there is incredible, but the thing is, Andrew, is there is going to be an incredibly sad team at the end of tonight, because somebody's season is going to be in the abyss. It is going to be. The season's not going to be over, but there's not going to be any more must-win games, because they're games. They're just going to be games, and you hope they win on Sunday, but all hopes and dreams are out the window, right? This game, to me, it really comes down to what team can get themselves physically and emotionally ready to play on a short week. And I hate to be like, it's coaching, because we don't understand it. We attribute all these magical things to coaching, but I really do. Like, the team that's best ready to play and has emotion and drive and excitement and that sort of thing, I think that team's going to win. And just because Arizona's at home, it doesn't mean they'll have it. Like, their fans might be pissed because they've been bad. So I'm just really interested to see what team can get themselves up for tonight's game.
Well, I'm just hoping that Kyler Murray right now, as we speak, is just
Call of Duty
on Call of Duty, just locked in on the new
pre-registered. He's locked in.
He's locked in. So I look at I think you're totally right, and I don't feel like I've sensed and felt a lot of urgency from the Saints. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much you can fix the horrific tackling that we saw on
Sunday.
In 3 days. Not in 3 days, yeah. So, look, it's I expect this to be ugly.
It's gonna be
it may be that both teams are horrific, but at the end of the day, someone's going to be 3-4 after tonight, and they're going to have hope. And just kind of what you said, someone is going to be 2-5 and staring into the abyss. So I would like to prolong the season, even if like the playoffs and a Super Bowl title don't wait for us on the other side. I would love to prolong.
You get 10 days. You win tonight, you get 10 days of happiness.
I would love to prolong the hopelessness.
You win. You win tonight, you be 3-4.
You kick your legs up. You watch
Atlanta to
football
lose to
on Sunday.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You can root for Carolina to do a miracle against Tampa. And we could be sitting here Sunday night going, the NFC South is comedy. But you know what? We're tied for first. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
You know? Where if you lose, you're 2-5.
You're 2-5. So to me, it's like, I don't even need you to look good. Like, you're banged up. It's a Thursday night. Here's the thing. What waits for you on the other side is maybe Michael Thomas is back.
That's right.
Maybe Jarvis Landry's back. Maybe Lattimore's back. Maybe Pete's back. Maybe Troutman's back. Like, maybe you get back all these guys, and maybe Jameis starts, and Jameis is feeling great. And you know, I mean, that's a whole nother podcast. If Jameis is healthy, who should start between him and Dalton? But like, what waits for us on the other side of this game is hope.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you can just be 3-4, like, it doesn't matter to me how the Saints look in this game. Just find a way to win it. And like, it can be ugly. I've accepted that they're going to look terrible, but like, just try to win the turnover battle. Try to win the penalty battle. Maybe that sets you up to win.
Yeah, for the Saints tonight, winning the turnover battle is a must. It's always for them. The Saints aren't good enough to lose the turnover battle.
They're not Buffalo. They're not Kansas City. They're not losing the turnover battle and win.
Yeah, they're not losing the turnover battle. They got to win the turnover battle. They got to run the football.
It's also very hard to win the turnover battle, Ralph.
Well, when you don't get interception.
One interception in 6 games. I feel like the Saints are due for Intavius Street just tipping a ball.
Yeah.
And Caden Ellis just getting a terrible interception. Just like so lucky. They're due.
Like an absolute goofball interception. The Saints are due. We haven't had a fat guy touchdown in a long time. The Saints are due for a fat guy touchdown on defense.
I'm here for it.
Here's the thing, though, and we always do this on the Thursday podcast. Today it's game day, so it's a little different. But we say, hey, can you change your prediction? And I'm not changing my prediction. I think the Saints are going to romp in this game. I think it's going to be Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray looking sad and dejected on the sideline. I'm not even sure, Andrew, how the Saints are going to romp. It's probably going to just be Arizona playing bad. But I believe this game is set up to not be close. I know everybody thinks it's going to be close and it's 2 bad teams and they're going to have a pillow fight. Now, I think one of these 2 teams is going to play horrific.
I think we lost Ralph.
We lost Ralph,
and not be ready to play tonight. And I think the Saints are going to romp because I think Arizona's terribly coached and they're not going to be ready to play.
Ralph, your video is terrible and you fritzed out. So I'm just going to say this. I think that I remember a time when the Saints went to Seattle and they were 0-4. This was maybe 2008.
2007.
2007, thank you. And they were 0-4, and Seattle was a good team. It was Matt Hasselbeck at quarterback. It was in Seattle, and we were all just like, oh, they're going to get housed. And something weird happened that night. I think it was a Thursday. It might have been a Sunday night game. And the Saints crushed them, absolutely annihilated them, and went 1-4.
Pierre Thomas blocked a punt, scored.
Pierre Thomas blocked a punt, yeah. So anyway, your video remains terrible, Ralph. Now you're anyway. I just think it's sometimes teams surprise you and weird things happen, and I'm hoping for that. This game, so on paper, forgetting all the injuries, like I look at how the Saints defend mobile quarterbacks, and I look at Kyler Murray, and I look at DeAndre Hopkins coming back and Lattimore not covering him, and to me, that all adds up to pain. I look at that and I'm like, the Saints are toast. There's no way they can beat that. But then I also look at Cliff Kingsbury, who I think is legitimately in over his head. I don't think he belongs in the NFL as a head coach. And this just feels like the end of the road for him. This feels like a team that's not really playing for him, that doesn't maybe believe in him as a head coach and his message anymore. And like, I could see this like falling off the cliff here where like, oh, we just got housed by the Saints at home. Like, it's over. This coach is terrible, and like, so honestly, I could see it going either way. I do think the Saints have a chance here.
All right. Well, I'm saying Saints 24-7. I said it on the podcast. I'm sticking with it. Guys, thanks for joining us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Find our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search Saints Happy Hour. You'll find us. Become a patron.
Ralph, I just hope the Saints can miraculously recover. Your video and audio just did. If they can miraculously recover like that, we should be in good shape.
We're on the path to 3-4. Guys, thanks for joining us. Also, Twitter Spaces after the game tonight. Join us, Saints Forecast. We're going to be doing Twitter Spaces late night. It's going to be fun. Saints are going to be 3-4. We'll see you then.